Hey guys, welcome back. Last video I talked really briefly about how I would wake up around 5 or 6 in the morning, go into the office and stay until about 9 or 10 at night. A lot of you guys asked how I was able to do that almost 6 days a week and also create content on here. So this week, let's talk about how to make time like magic. Before we get started, I'm not working the whole time I'm in the office. The first 3.5 hours, I'm meditating, doing qigong, and reading. I'm also working on some of my own personal stuff while I'm there. So I'll talk about more of this at the end. And I'll also talk about what my full-time job is. It's all more of an end result of putting in place everything that I will talk about first, which is more like time management, knowing what's important to you so that you can design a life around everything that's most important to you. All right? Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the most important thing that needs to happen before anything else can happen, because you can manage your time as much as you want, you can organize, you can plan, you can think and dwell and do all the things as much as you want. But if you don't know what's important to you, if you don't know your why, if you don't have a North Star, if you don't know what you're working towards, none of that really matters, because you'll just kind of be running in circles, which is what I did for the majority of my adolescence. So this is a saying that I've been going by for a really long time now. It's that you'll make time for what's important to you. And a quote from Jim Rohn, who's Tony Robbins' mentor, is, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And for majority of my life, I just gave like a bunch of excuses to myself as to why I'm not doing this, why this isn't good enough, why I quit all of these things and all that good stuff. When it really comes down to how I'm able to do everything that I want to do in a way where it just seamlessly fits into my life, is because I've taken the time to really figure out what's the most important to me, and that is my spiritual practice Falun Dafa, which includes meditation, qigong, being a better person. It really, to me, is just like continual self-betterment. Like, how can I continually look inward and reflect and do better and be better as a person? So that's number one. Number two is my family. Number three is helping others. So everything that I do revolves around that. How can I be a better student of my spiritual practice? How can I be a better daughter? How can I spend time with my parents more? How can I design my life in a way where I can see my parents often, since I'm living in New York and my parents are in LA? And how can I continually help and serve others in a way where I can encourage them to chase their dreamies of dreams and to not feel like they're alone in whatever it is that they're doing? Because for the majority of my college years and post-college years, I felt really stuck and alone and lonely, and just, I don't know, not many people talked about something like this. So because I knew what was most important to me, I was able to design my life in a way where what I did for work is aligned with my spiritual practice. Again, I'll get back to this at the end. And what I did with work allowed me to have flexibility to see my family as much as I want. And what I do for work also allows me to help other people as much as I can by doing what I love. So all of this to say, it's really important to really know what's the most important to you, what's your North Star, what is your why are you doing the things that you're doing, and why do you need to do the things that you need to do. And usually what you need to do is things that are most important to you. To give you guys a couple of pointers, because I know something as daunting as finding your life purpose may be very paralyzing, and it probably will be for, you know, the first couple of months, or maybe even like the first year or two. But the more you chip away at it, the more clear it'll become. And the first video I made ever, I can't really watch it because I kind of cringed, but I'll link it right there. I talked about what inspired me to start my YouTube channel, and it was reading Start With Why, Big Magic, and The Dip. Start With Why, the goal is to help you find your why, or to get you to understand why it's so important to have a solid why. Big Magic, to me, it gave me permission to pursue something creative. Like, it's Big Magic, creative living beyond fear. So like, it really gave me permission to be like, you can do this, you're able to do it, so go do it. And The Dip really taught me that growing up, we just assume quitting is like the worst thing to ever do. But the book's like, if you're not gonna be the best at doing this thing, then like, yeah, you should quit. Whenever you learn something new, it's really fun, and then it sucks, and then you like, if you break through, that's like The Dip. And you guys can watch that video. I'll link it. It's right there. And a couple of things you guys can do as well is make a list of, just like write out what are the most important things to you. Just kind of free writing and just going off the top of your head of like, I'm just gonna write down what I think is the most important to me, and then kind of figure out from there. Or you can use writing prompts like, who do I want to be in the future? What do I want to achieve? Who do I want to become? What kind of value do I want to give to the world? That will help you find what's most important to you. And I actually made a video on how to write your life together. There's 3 writing prompts. I start crying and it's kind of intense. I can be intense sometimes. So I'll also link that right there, how to write your life together. Talked about this in previous videos, Pareto's law, Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, which is 20% of your inputs will produce 80% of your outputs. And for me, I learned that to be the most productive person and human being and to be calm and composed and grounded throughout the day, it's really important to me to start the day with meditation, with Qigong, and with reading Zhen Falun, which is the book written by the founder Falun Dafa. This goes along with the knowing what's most important to you, because when I look at the 24 hours I have in my day, and then let's say 8 of those hours are spent either sleeping or like winding down and like me time, so I'm left with 16 hours, and 20% of 16 is about 3.2 hours. So I should be able to spend those 3 hours, like those 3 solid hours, doing what I know will help me be the best that I can be for the rest of the 13 hours. And for me, that is meditating for an hour, doing Qigong for an hour, and reading for about an hour to an hour 30 minutes every morning before I start working. And so that is something worth considering. What is the one thing or the couple of things that you know you can do, either it being, you know, in work, in your personal life, in your spiritual life? What can you do for 3 hours every day to help you make the rest of the 13 hours like super amazing? Trim the fat or cut out the excess in your life. Before you can cut out the excess and before you can trim the fat, you need to have a decent understanding of how you're spending your time. You can do that by tracking your week, just 1 week, or maybe even tracking 1 or 2 days of your life, writing out everything that you do throughout that day to be like, okay, do I really need to spend 15-30 minutes in the morning scrolling through social media? Do I really need to spend 2-3 hours at night watching TV or watching movies? Do I really need to do half the things that I do? Because the answer is no, we don't need to do half the things that we do. If we know what's important to us, we'll be able to identify and really trim out everything else that is more noise than what will actually help you get to where you want to be. And a great question you can ask yourself is, what are you willing to give up and sacrifice, and what are you not? So again, it's like, if you know what's most important to you, this becomes a lot easier. So for me, it's like my most important things: spiritual practice, family, work. Those things not gonna change. That is what's most important to me. I was willing to give up and sacrifice everything else, including my social life, including watching TVs and movies, including going out to dinner with friends, including any form of entertainment, any form of fun, because I felt like I had way too much fun when I was younger. So like my whole focus, I was able to really just hone in on how to be a better student of my spiritual practice, how to be a better daughter, and how to excel at work. So work is like YouTube or like my workbook that I'll talk about. Going back to what you're willing to give up and what you're willing to sacrifice, there's a really great article by Mark Manson called 7 Strange Questions to Ask Yourself to Find Your Life Purpose, something like that. He talks about how nothing is pleasurable and uplifting all the time. And he has a really great question: what sandwich are you willing to eat? What that means is, whatever we do, we're gonna have to rough it out. We're gonna have to eat dirt every once in a while or for a few years before we actually see, or we actually like are able to reap the benefits. And a few other questions that he wrote down. Dude, honestly, this article is so great. So these are all great questions that you guys can also, after reading through this, answer. It'll really help. This article actually helped me a lot, maybe in 2014, 2015. So the moral of the story is really to just be protective of your time. And a thing that I do is every day I turn my phone and my laptop on Do Not Disturb. This is for MacBooks and iPhones. And what it does is just it mutes every form of notification. So nothing's ringing, nothing's dinging, nothing's chirping, nothing is popping up to be like, hey, look at me. And it actually took me a while to really understand and grasp that most things can wait. If there's an emergency, if someone really had to reach me, they'll call me. But if not, emails, text messages, the news, anything, social media notifications, actually all of my social media notifications are off because it's such a huge distraction. So yeah, next point. The next thing is something that I'm really bad at because I somehow convinced myself that I'm different and I'm an outlier and that I can actually be very productive and useful when I'm multitasking, but I cannot. So it's something that I'm still trying to work on, but it's something that I've learned over time that yes, making time and carving out time for deep focus on one thing is very important. What is the one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else become easier or necessary? This is a great question to ask on something super big of what is my life purpose, or something super small, day to day, what can I do today? What is the one thing that I can do today that will help make everything easier or necessary? One thing that really helped me be more of a focused person and less of a multitasker, one thing is the Pomodoro method, which is setting a timer for about 25 minutes for deep focus on just one thing. If any other thing comes up during that 25 minutes, you don't do it. But for me, it's like, okay, if I'm in deep focus mode on this one task and I remember I have to do a couple of things, instead of actually getting distracted and doing those couple of things, I'll write it down on a piece of paper or my planner. There's like a little section that I block off that's parking lot thoughts, so that I'm kind of unloading what's in here onto somewhere else, and I feel safe and secure that it's safe and secure somewhere and I can get back to it later, and then I can redirect my focus and my attention back onto what I'm doing. Of everything I talked about, the most important thing is to know what's important to you, or to try to find what's most important to you. And I think the second most important thing really is to be kind to yourself and to respect and to trust the process, because something like this, wanting to be more productive, wanting to be a better person, wanting to find your thing, it takes time, because you need to first find what it is that you want to do with this time, and how can you do that, and why, and then what, and then there's all these things that you have to figure out. And so for me, I'd say it took from 2013, maybe like deep, like when I really wanted to figure out, it's 2014. So it took me 4 years. It took me a little over 4 years to really figure out like, okay, this is the life I want to live. This is the life that I've designed. And to let you guys in on a little secret, this whole thing is a work in progress. For as much as you guys might be like, wow, you're like in the office so much, like how do you do that? To me, it's like, why do I still waste so much time on social media? And why do I sleep in sometimes? And why am I not more productive? So again, all of this takes time. Strive for it vigorously, but remember that change takes time, and that it's kind of not realistic or practical, or even as much as we want to wake up the next day and have our lives be fixed and to be the most productive people we want to be, it doesn't happen like that. But if you work hard at it day to day, week to week, and month to month, you will for sure start seeing progress. And that's what life is about, right? Celebrating the small wins. So this is the, the 5 things, the 5 practical tips. And the end, for those of you who are asking, I feel like this video is already pretty long. So if you really want to get like a in-depth thing of like how I found my life purpose and then what it is that I do for work, it'll be linked right there. It's the video I talked about, like part 5, how I found my life purpose. All right, so what do I do for my full-time job? My full-time job, I'm working at NTD TV, or the Epic Times. NTD TV is like the television broadcasting division, which YouTube falls under, and then Epic Times is news, hard news, print newspaper. If you guys want to catch extra videos of me, like bonus videos, make sure you subscribe to Beauty Within. I'll be probably on there twice a month for now, maybe more moving forward, but for now, twice a month. And there should be a movie what? There should be a video on how to detox coming this week, and I will link it down below when it's up. More on this next time because this video is already so long. Okay, bye guys! Thanks for being here. I love you. I love you. Okay, hello. Okay, bye.